Looks good so far. Everyone is on mute, I think. Cool. So yeah, parameters can be passed similarly how it was done before. One new thing is we can have default values for our parameter now in ES6. So I can have the so in case this variable parameter is not passed to a function, suppose I call new function without a parameter, I can have a default value over here. So in case the value is not passed, it will use the value which we have defined as default value. And if I call this, you can see like it's using hello over here. And this default parameter thing you can use with old function syntax also. It's not like it's something with new syntax. It can be used with old syntax also. This is a new addition to JavaScript that is passing the default parameters. You can see this works pretty much same. Cool. Yeah, apart from this, there is difference within like how this works and all those things, which like you can read at the moment, but when we'll be working with event listeners in our React thing, we'll be like seeing how click handler works and all those things. Then we'll see in deep like how this is working for these functions. Anything so far? Yeah, one more thing over here. So suppose I have a function. Let's define a function called add number, which takes in two numbers and return us the sum a plus b. We can name as increment. So what does it? This increment does is it takes in a value and it increments the value. So I given it default value of 1. Wait. And if I call this function, I can pass in a number 2 and what I want to add to it. If I pass in 4, it will add 4 to this. If I do increment just 2, set console log state. So I've used a default increment value. So if I will not pass second parameter, it will add 1 to the value which I passed. So if I run this function right now, wait, plus in. So we see like for first one it is 6, then it returned 2 plus 1 3. Now suppose there is one more thing in arrow function. So suppose you have only a single return statement. You don't even need these braces. You can remove these. You can remove return keyword also. You can just have it like this in ES6 syntax. So what it does, it takes in two parameter. It will do this operation and return whatever is on the right side of the arrow. So if I run this, you'll see the same output. Nothing has changed. So in case you have a function which just directly returns a value, you can remove those braces and write it like this within a single line. Looks good. So over here, one more thing, like in case you want to just return an object, suppose I wanted to return an object, this is a random object. So now I wanted to return this. As I told, like if there is only single return statement, we can directly do like this. But for object, it won't work. Why? Because it is confused about these braces. It don't know if these are like object braces or these are like function starting ending braces. So what we can do is we can just like move them within these open and close curve braces, and this will work as same. It will, what it will do is it will take in parameter, it will return the value which is within these open braces. Square, and you can say it returned me the object. Any questions on this?
Also, I think if there is only one parameter, we can remove those brackets also.
Which parameter? These braid, yeah. So yes,
Uh,
so suppose in case you have only a single parameter, you can remove these braces from over here and it can be directly like this also. So you can have val and you can just directly do this thing written
cool.
also. Yeah. These are just like different ways of writing arrow functions. Yes, I think we covered all of them. Any questions on this? Well, I think sounds good. I will share this PPT, like you can go through this link I've added over here. So you'll read about like what are the limitations of arrow functions when they cannot be used. That is there in this link, and how this works for this keyword work for arrow function and normal functions that you can see in this link.
Okay.
Then we move to next thing, which is rest and spread operator. So I will be covering like all the major things like which we normally use in our day-to-day life. They will be like helping a lot to make code easier. So rest and spread operators are also something which were added new to ES6. The syntax is same for both operator. The name is different based on the functionality, how they are used. So the syntax is just the three dots. Three dot means rest operator also and spread operator also. So how it varies is in rest operator, what it does it allows to represent an indefinite number of argument as an array. So if we are passing multiple arguments, we can combine all those together as an array using three dots in front of the variable. So, so you can see the example over here. Can you see this properly or should I code this thing?
Yes, yes, we can see.
So what add numbers is doing is I have defined an arrow function. I think I should. Okay, cool. We'll go through this. We have defined an arrow function. It is taking numbers as argument and it is doing something over here. You don't need to worry about like what is happening inside this. So what I did is I called this function. I passed in number as 1, 2, comma 3, comma 4. I can pass it to. I can pass in n number of argument. It doesn't matter now. It will work for all of them. So what happens is I use these three dots in front of this. So how these values will be over here. So if I do console.number log numbers, what it will print is it will print an array of number. So let's do it. I think add number. So I'll just write simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can pass a number of argument. It won't matter. 1, comma 2, comma 3. So inside this, I will print console.log number just to show like how spread of rest operator is working. So if I put in three dots in front of this number variable, what will happen? All these parameters which we are passing to this variable, this function, they will all be combined as list within this numbers variable. So numbers will be an array. So you can see number is an array. So it has created this number as an array. So this is the use of REST operator. You can use it at multiple places for all these kind of operations. Another usage, I think this is the most common usage which you will be seeing of this. Yeah, it can be mostly used wherever you want to like combine all the numbers into a single thing.
Like, but what if we have different types of arguments like a string and an array and then
That
numbers
won't
as
matter.
values?
You can pass in some anything.
So everything will be in an array. Okay. So even if I
Yes.
pass
What
an
are you?
object, it will also be in an array.
What thing? Yeah, you can pass
Even
in
if we
object.
pass,
Array is an object.
oh,
Array can have any value. So you can pass in
Okay.
anything to it.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, everything will be with this dot thing now. Everything which we have passed to this variable, they all will be combined into an array.
Okay.
Yeah. And with the spread, what happens is it is opposite of that. So if we are passing an array somewhere and we do dot 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 in front of this variable. So suppose I have passed an array now to my add number function, and if I add just dot 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 in front of it, it will like separate out the element. It will change this list to separate elements, so they all will be treated as separate values, like one, two, three. So spread is kind of opposite of rest, you can say. And the usage is like, suppose we can see like there is an inbuilt function called math.max. What it does is you can pass in an array of numbers and it will return you the, you have to pass in number comma separated numbers to it and it will return the maximum number out of it. So if we have an array, what we can do is we can use dot 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 in front of array, and those whole numbers will be passed as comma separated value. So you don't need to pass in each variable again for each value. You don't need to iterate and create these variables and then pass it to these. This is kind of uses for it. We'll see further usage also with objects, how it helps out in object thing. So any questions on these two operators?
All clear.
Cool. So next is destructuring assignment. So now we have read about rest operator, dot 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 thing, and a spread. We'll see how we can move value. We can assign values from an object to variables, or from variables how we can create an object or an array. So we'll be seeing those things now. First thing is, let's start with object. I believe objects are pretty good. So you'll be mostly dealing with object in your daily life. So suppose I've created an object with user whose name I have given 72. So I've created this user object. Now if I need to access values from this object, how will I do? Like what is the most common way to access? Suppose I need to access the name property.
Mm.
We can directly do user.name, right?
Yeah.
Or we can do user bracket name. This both works,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So now suppose I want to store these values within like different variables. What I can do is I can do, so yeah, so I want to like get these values from this. So what I can do is I can create new variables, const name age equal to user. So these names should be same as the key. So if I create these, so these will be now the variable, and I have assigned it to this user object kind of thing. It's opposite basically. So name and age property will be separated out from user object and will be assigned to name and age variable. And I can
Right.
do console.log name directly now. I don't need to use user.name again. I can access these values via these variable names. And now suppose I want, so this was my object, but I want to store it with some other variable name. So suppose I want it to be, instead of name, I want it to be called username. My variable to be username. I can use this syntax. So name was the property which was there in object. This is the variable name which I have given to it. Now I can access the name property of user object using the variable which I have declared, that is username. Cool. Any doubts on this thing, like how we are assigning these default variable names? So this was pretty straightforward because it's not deeply structured. We have single level, but now suppose this is my object. I just want to make use. I want to get like what is the college of the user. So instead of doing user.education.college, what I can do is I can over here directly do constant. Uh, whatever is the name education. I know properties education in my object. Within education, I have something called college, right? I can define it like this. So now I can access the college property directly using this college variable. So you can just define the variable like this also to get a specific property. If I want to name it something else, I can similarly use over here also colon college name. I want to call it college name. I can name it like this, and I can use college name again. Okay. Any question on this thing? Like how this is
Basically, it extracts the property
yeah,
of the object and
property.
assign it to variable.
Yes. This is called destructuring. So we are destructuring some value from object. So same thing can be done with arrays also. So suppose array is also an object because that's all. But there's not changing anything. We are not changing anything. So since objects are defined with this thing, we were doing uh, we were having like we were defining variables like this within the open braces, right? But
Mhm.
arrays are defined with square
Square
brackets.
brackets.
If you want to destructure value, we can do constant a comma b. Let's name it name comma age, and we have an array called solver comma integer. Now this is same as how it was happening for object. Now I can access this first instead of doing like let's create it as an array. I think then it will be constant array. This, instead of doing array ka 0 or array ka 1 element, I can just destructure these values and whatever variable name I want. So suppose there are other values also. So suppose I have ABC also over here, DEF. If I want them to be in separate variable, I can just keep on adding different variable names and they will be accessible by that. Otherwise, what I can do is we read about the rest operator, right?
Mhm.
So I want all other values to be in within an array. So I can use something called dot dot dot. I can name it some parameter first left value. Let us name is left value. So what it does is it assigns first value to this variable name, second to age, and whatever value
Other
has been
values.
left, they all will be assigned to this variable as an array. It is working as a REST operator over here. So now if I print name left value, so you can see left value has A, B, C, and D. If it combined all the left values to a single variable.
Got it.
So has anyone worked with Python before? So,
Yeah.
okay. No, I think we have a small question over. So suppose I have a variable called let A equal to 8 and B equal to 6. I think you must have done this kind of program. So I want to swap the values of these two variables. How can you do that? How will you define for JavaScript? Deepak, I can't hear you.
You're not audible.
Someone from you guys will you like to take it up? I will just swap two numbers.
You
I think the easiest is to use a temp
you
variable.
can we can use
Swap.
a temporary. We can use
Yeah.
temporary variable.
So
There are two
uh,
methods I think. One we use a temporary variable,
yeah,
and second is like uh, we first add these two numbers.
yeah, cool. So yeah, those are the tools, but there is one more easier way now with JavaScript. So we saw something over here right now, right? If I define something as constant, where when, where to equal to, I do this. So what will happen is two will go to variable. This variable, three value will be in this variable, right? So if I need to swap to variable, what I can do is I want my value to be assigned to A and B. And what values I want to assign, I will just create an array of my current A and B. So I want 6 to go to A and A to go
Yeah.
to B. So if I do console
Mm,
dot A comma B, so the values now A will be 6, B will be.
mm,
So there is something similar in Python also. Over there you can just do A comma B equal to B comma. It's yeah. So this is now available in JavaScript also. JavaScript is something like this.
good.
Small one more thing is left. Just let me know like if you guys get bored, so we can move fast forward to next topic.
I was thinking like if you guys thinking that it's like it's getting more, so we can continue like tomorrow or maybe you can solve that coding challenge after reading yourself.
I think we are just left with three more
Mm-hmm.
topics.
So class is important actually. Class and modules are important because in JavaScript most of the things works on a module. So if you start working on the React, you will be building multiple modules and you have to import and export modules each other. So understanding module is important. So maybe like if you're getting bored, you can say. Else we can continue tomorrow. Cool.
I think
Yeah.
we
Tomorrow. Acha chal. Then I think
I think
can speak.
uh, after module.
Say something else. You can unmute and see. Something else.
Who?
Can you?
Hello.
Should we continue or you want?
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. You can continue. Like, yeah,
continue,
like try to
continue.
bind up quickly then, and
This is
in that
like
case,
small things, but yeah, they will come in and they will be working on this. So this is the last in object destructuring thing. So suppose I have a function. So I how we define function, and in case we want to pass in variables to a function. Suppose I want to pass in an object user I have passed, which has name and age property, and we can in the parameters instead of taking it as an object and then doing object dot name and all those things, we can have curly braces and we can have name comma age, and they will be accessible and inside this function directly using the variable name. You can access like this directly. Same thing what we saw few minutes before. If you want to name it something else, you can name it over here and use that over here. That can be done. So this is one more way like how we can use object destructuring for passing in parameters.
Destructuring.
Any question on this thing, object-based structuring part? Just a sec.
No.
Sagar, can you
Not
please
clear.
speak little bit louder? Like I think
Yes, yes.
हाँ
Just a
ठीक है,
second.
थोड़ा थोड़ा कम साउंड आ रहा है तो
Okay, yes, can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
yeah, okay.
I think so. Next topic is template literals. It is pretty easy, so there's nothing much to say over it. So it's a way to create templates using a string. It allows a safer way to work with a string. Some benefits are we can easily create multiple line string. We can do string formatting, HTML escaping. So before, like, if we had to create like multiple line string, we used to use slash n within the strings, right? And if we want to like add some kind of value, suppose let's do a easy thing. Let's name equal to this. Now suppose I have a string and I wanted to append hello to this thing. Should do like hello plus name. We used to do it like this before, but
Plus,
with
plus.
string templating, what we can do is we can like encapsulate our string within two backticks. So the symbol above the tab thing. And inside this, we can have whatever string we used to have. Plus, if we want to add some variable or something, we can have dollar these bracket and we can have pass in variable name within this thing. We can have any number of this. If we have multiple parameter, we can do like this. So this is how we can do string formatting. Uh,
Yes.
PR is also very there static. So, so you can see like it has formatted this string. And so suppose if I need this saga in next line instead of using slash and I can directly move it to next line and it will be treated as so whatever you put in within these braces and will come exactly same within the output. So we can make use of it like in case suppose you want to append some HTML element within your some div or something, you can directly like write it properly over here and it will be appended within the same format. You don't need to use slash n or slash for escaping these character anymore. You can directly write your HTML code within these backticks and just directly append to the DOM. Any question with this thing? String templates. It's pretty easy, just two backticks for a string and you can pass in variable within the informant this thing.
So the meeting will end in less than 10 minutes again.
Okay. I told you like it will be a quick topic.
Yes, I know, no, it's okay, but
So if you guys have time, like we can connect next 10-15 minutes. It's about to be over. We have just class and modules.
yes,
Class is
exactly.
straightforward. Module will take 10 minutes, I think. And then we will be good.
Yes, continue.
Well, I think we have 7 minutes. Now. We can cover a class. Lastly. So what are classes in JavaScript? So there is no such thing as classes specifically in JavaScript. Everything is function or objects mostly. So what does class mean is it is a new syntax to create objects using the class keyword. So before like how we used to create class was we used to create function and within that we used to define our variable like we define a equal to something this dot a equal to something like those and we whenever we need to create some object of this thing we used to do like uh, we used to do as like let b equal to new a So it used to create a new copy of this. So this used to work as, this is how we used to do class thing. We have a class, we used to create object of that class. But now we can make use of class keyword instead of function thing. And it has, so yeah, as it says, like it is just a syntax, not a fully fledged class-based implementation. So it's not similar to how you have it in Java or C, C++. You won't find it similar to that. It's just a syntactical change on how you can define class so that it's more readable for someone to read, like, yeah, this is like we have defined a class, it's not a function. And we have something called constructor available within the class now. So it is a reserved function for this class keyword. We can have constructor, it's similar, we can pass in values while creating a new object, and those will be used by constructor and can be assigned to the class itself. Then we can define function as getter setter. So if you want to use some other name for our function to be exposed, so suppose I've created a planet name as get planet, it will return target planet. I have setter function which is also with same name planet. It takes in a parameter and assign it to the variable of the class. So what I did is I created a new object of this class. I passed in some value, it will be assigned to target planet variable. I printed the planet. I used the getter method name. So it will print the value whatever there is in this variable. And if I need to change, I can use the same setter method planet equal to earth thing. It's not a function, like you don't need to call it with braces. You just need to know dot planet equal to, like this. You can assign the values to variables using getter setter. Otherwise, you can assign directly also. You can do directly use dot target planet equal to earth. That also works. That is also same. So these are just like have proper naming convention in case you want to name it differently. Okay, should we
Good.
join again? Like we will be starting in modules. This is the major topic I think mostly used.